Grand Rising, and welcome to another segment of CLG View Point. I'm Cindy Lorraine Grais, and it's an absolute honor to have you here with me today for segment 75. Today is Friday, May 30th, 2025, and in the Kingdom of Canada, it is Divina Anima, Day 3, Year 0035. Each segment, I like to start with a clearing, and I use a sage clearing. And if you're not familiar with this process, it's a way of ridding our show of any negative energies and leaving everything with positive energy. I have a sage stick here, and I actually, some of you know, grow sage myself. I have I'd say about 8 plants now. To all low energy entities, you are sent back to your perfect place. Only divine love and divine light is welcomed here. And so it is. Divine love and divine gratitude. Today we will be covering Blackberry Tea Leaf Harvesting. Yes, Blackberry Tea Leaf Harvesting. International news, Brazil declared free a foot and mouth disease without any vaccinations. Under local news, an update on the 400 ostriches of BC who have been ordered to be culled by the Canadian Food Inspection Agency. Vancouver drug traffickers linked to notorious Wolfpack gang sentenced. BC senior loses $23,000 in bank card scam. An Ontario judge approves $500 million settlement in Loblaw bread fixing case. So now on to the video. Let's see here. Blackberry Leaf Tea Harvesting.
Hello everyone, it's Tiffany Hopkins with Oregon State University's Forestry and Natural Resources Extension Program, and today I'm excited because we are going to go pick some blackberry leaves. And I know that this is a very pain in the rear invasive for most of us, and I am going to show you how to make something really nice and enjoyable with the leaves of a blackberry plant, so blackberry leaf tea, and we'll talk more about that later, but let's go harvest. I'm going to try to get some newer shoots and then also just whatever we can get, so let's get to it. Blackberry can often be confused with wild raspberry. The primary distinguishing characteristics when berries are not present is the stem. So the stem of a blackberry plant has ridges and angles like you can see here, where the raspberry stem is going to be smooth and very round in shape. Also, the raspberry stem is going to be more of a blue whitish in color, where the blackberry is going to be more of a green with some red hues. Young blackberry shoots are the best and easiest to harvest, but really any blackberry leaf will do the trick. To process your plants, you are going to lay them out flat to dry or place them in a jar. Once dry, you're going to crush, pound, roll, whatever you need to do to create that traditional tea-like consistency in the leaf size. This also releases all the juices in those leaves. Traditionally, blackberry leaf tea is used to cure sore throats, sore gums, or help with mouth ulcers. The leaves are high in vitamin C and tannins, and the astringent nature of those tannins make them useful for intestinal issues, including diarrhea. Once you're done there, you're going to go ahead and brew the tea. So you will add 1 to 2 teaspoons of your tea leaves into 8 ounces of boiling water. Then you are going to steep and enjoy. You don't want to consume more than 3 cups of this tea per day, as too much of this tea specifically can cause constipation and have other negative side effects. You always want to consult with a physician or your naturopath before consuming any new medicinal plant.
Happy tea drinking. Really looks delicious. Now on to international news. Brazil declares free of foot and mouth disease without any vaccinations. Reuters, written by Ana Mano and Sybil de la Hamade. May 29, 2025. The World Organization for Animal Health, WOAH, has recognized Brazil as a country free of foot and mouth disease without vaccination. Brazilian beef lobby Abrafrigo said in a statement on Thursday. Brazil's is the world's top beef exporter, and the certificate could contribute to opening new markets. This is the first time that the country has achieved this level of excellence in its sanitary controls, according to Abrafrigo. The lobby, which represents some of the largest Brazilian meat packers, such as Marfrig, said the recognition was a historical moment for the beef agro-industrial chain. The new status also brings new challenges and responsibilities for all actors involved, with the aim of maintaining the herd in adequate sanitary conditions and increasingly strengthening the country's role as a major producer and supplier of animal organ food for Brazil and the world, it added. The Brazilian agriculture minister did not immediately respond to a request for comment. My personal thoughts. Huge success for the people of the country of Brazil's meat market. No vaccination. Definitely groundbreaking. Now on to local news. An update on the story of the BC farm owners Karen Esperson and Dave Belinsky 400 ostriches, and how the Canadian Food Inspection Agency want to kill healthy 400 ostriches. Full recognition to the producer of this video and investigative reporting by Mocha Bezirgan of Media Bezirgan. Inside the ostrich resistance, how peaceful protesters are being portrayed like criminals. Now on to the video.
I visited the Universal Ostrich Farm Resistance in Edgewood, BC, where Canadians have camped for months, bracing for a federal raid to cull 400 ostriches regardless of their health after an avian flu outbreak in December 2024.
They say they're culling sick ostriches. There's not a one of these ostriches that's sick. Every one of them is healthy.
CFIA actually, I think, believe are even, more tyrannical than our actual government itself.
All of these animals have never been tested. And they're not allowed to under threat of fine.
This is not a problem of Canada. This is a problem of humanity.
It's about a loss of human rights, basically.
I believe that is an overreach of our government.
Now we have a shot rooster, which has entered through his ear. It's gone down his neck. It's one of our biggest, beautiful roosters, and we're just going to fully investigate today.
After a 9-hour overnight drive from Calgary through the Rockies, winding roads, I arrived at the farm during a heartbreaking moment. That morning, farmers found an ostrich dead, seemingly shot. It wasn't the first time. Last month, another was killed by unknown assailants.
Something has gone terribly wrong in the governance of the country, and
Meet Segal Farrell, a Canadian of South African descent, camping at the farm to protect the ostriches from authorities. Before explaining why he opposes the government's cull order, Farrell, who is part of the security team, was tasked with a preliminary investigation into the ostrich death.
The bird that was shot a few weeks back was shot from the side, and we reasonably sort of worked out from the direction the bird was in that the shot came from further down the road. Now I think we need to try and find the projectile or bullet or whatever it was. Some of our vehicles have been up and down here before, but this is not very recent. This looks like it's very new. Okay, so somebody drove down here and stopped. And that is behind the bushes. So presumably, I'm just suspicion that they did not want to be seen from the farm. Okay. So is that a footprint? There.
Evidence suggested a vehicle stopped near a hidden spot by the farm's fence, close to the body. It's more likely someone crossed the fence and shot the ostrich than a drone strike, as some speculated online. Perhaps the drone was used to scoop out the area to ensure no eyewitnesses. The RCMP's investigation is underway, and protesters await clarity on who is killing the birds. This death is graver than the last, as it happened the same night RCMP leadership said that they are monitoring the camp to ensure no criminal behavior. A statement widely reported on the media, inadvertently framing the families and ordinary Canadians there as threats under surveillance.
There's no more greater love and unity and gentleness and kindness. There's a world out there that wants to kill us. We know that. We've known this. First Nations have known this since Columbus and the conquistadors before them. We know what they can do, but they don't know what we can do.
This is also a story about the RCMP's double standard and recklessness when dealing with protest movements that challenge the Canadian government, not a foreign one. It shows how public opinion is being manipulated to portray peaceful families, children, and everyday Canadians on this farm exercising their right to protest as dangerous people in need of surveillance.
My concern is that the Canada Security Establishment is looking for a way that they can actually remove this camp completely, remove the people from watching. The media coverage that will be there, social media type of coverage, if independent people are all video recording, watching, will be a real slight against the CFIA and this stamping up policy, killing healthy birds, and certainly birds which have not been tested, so there is no reason to believe that they are infected in any way. They're happy to cull them and then ostensibly move them through the region to a municipal dump, but yet they're supposed to be contaminated, dangerous biohazard material. You can't have it both ways. They either are not infected and they should be able to carry on their lives, and with the farm, this farm is not a meat farm, so they are effectively a living experimental farm, or they're highly infectious, in which case they need to be eliminated. But in that case, there should be no reason and no arguments in why they can't test them, and why the farmer himself can't test them to show that they've infected. The farmer would gladly voluntarily cull the birds if they were infected. You don't want to spread infection to anybody or any other animals.
After breaking the news and filming the initial investigation, I met the camp's people to understand their reasons for opposing the call. Mostly families, they camp peacefully, praying for the best. Nothing seemed fringe or dangerous, just respectful ordinary folks.
Is it just about the birds, or is there something more to it? Let's go find out.
Our RCMP knows that this is silly, that we're not retesting. Why can't we retest? And I know it's because we have antibodies. We have research here. They don't want our research here. Otherwise, none of this makes sense, and this is why the world continues to watch.
As people, why are we letting this happen? We shouldn't let this happen. I really hate to think of what's going to be in 10 years if we let this happen.
I'm here to support the ostriches
and the killing of these birds that are not tested to have the avian flu. They are free of it. I believe that is an overreach of our government. These birds are not being served for food. Their eggs are being sent to Japan for experimental use. Some of these birds are 30 years old, and these have become pets of the owners. I think it's such an embarrassment that these birds, the government is calling to kill them.
That's what it's about. It's about celebrating. We're here celebrating our right to live, and we're standing for the right for these ostriches to live.
These behind me here, these are our relatives. And when one relative is hurting, we must come to their aid and join and pray with them and sit with them and come together in unity. Humanity only works when we sit together. It does not work any other way. So my people, my elders always say, gather the people, always sit with the people, and they will remember who they are. And sometimes the people look like this.
The last message is just to realize out there that culling healthy animals has got no moral value whatsoever.
The day it ended with joyful news. U.S. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. sent a letter to Canadian officials urging them to spare the ostriches for research.
The United States Department of Health and Human Services, including the National Institutes of Health and the Food and Drug Administration, would like to offer our full support and assistance in conducting diagnostic testing and undertaking a long-term tracking each and studying it very intensively to prepare for a potential epidemic, including working hard on vaccines and studying the interaction between the virus and the immune system. We believe significant scientific knowledge may be garnered from following the ostriches in a controlled environment at Universal Ostrich Farm. While we understand the importance of preventing the spread of H5N1, we believe the discussion to cull the entire flock of approximately 400 ostriches made nearly 6 months after the initial positive test results will not influence the current health status of surviving birds.
The crowd cheered and slept with hope. But the Canadian Food Inspection Agency doesn't seem like budging, stating last they will cull the birds at a time and place of their choosing. If this raid happens, as protesters fear due to RCMP's warnings of arrests, the farm's remote location, size, protester numbers, and 400 ostriches will demand major police resources. Prosecutors could later bill farmers for costs, as seen in past resistance cases.
My personal thoughts. Actually, it's horrendous that they would like to cull these 400 ostriches. Now maybe the World Organization of the Animal Health, WOAH, W-O-A-H, can be of service to guide, support, and assist the BC ostrich farm owners, Karen Esperson and Dave Belinsky, on prevention measures that will stop the Canadian Food Inspection Agency of killing these 400 ostriches. Note that these beautiful birds have herd immunity. The farm's focus is on research, partnering with scientists to study the birds and their immune system. Now on to Vancouver. Drug traffickers linked to notorious Wolfpack gang sentenced. CTV News, written by Todd Coyne, published May 29, 2025. 5 members of Vancouver drug trafficking ring linked to a notorious organized crime group have been sentenced to a combined 35 years in prison, according to British Columbia's anti-gang police unit. The Combined Forces Special Enforcement Unit of BC says the men were trafficking drugs in the city's downtown east side as part of a network linked to the Wolfpack Alliance gang. The investigation into the group's activities began in July of 2020 and led to the identification of the suspects over several months. By May 2021, police had conducted search warrants at various locations around Vancouver, gathering evidence that would eventually lead to 11 charges against the 5 men. During the searches, investigators seized 7 prohibited or restricted guns and over 1,000 rounds of ammunition, according to a police statement, when charges were approved by November 2022. Police also seized 10 kilograms of fentanyl, 6 kilograms of methamphetamine, which is meth, and 3 kilograms of cocaine, along with various cutting agents. These vehicles and $160,000 in cash were also surrendered. All 5 suspects later pleaded guilty, according to investigators. Vinod Khanna Arul-Devarajan, 28, was sentenced to 4.5 years in prison for drug trafficking on July 14, 2024. Co-accused Howajin Sayed, 29, and Roger Bardalis Medina, 32, were sentenced to 10 years and 5 years in prison for drug charges, respectively, the following November. Finally, in February, the remaining offenders, 32-year-old Heman Hua Saeed and 26-year-old Daigo Saeed, were sentenced to 9 years and 6.5 years for drug-related offenses, respectively. These convictions demonstrate CFSEU BC's continued success in targeting and disrupting organized crime groups that pose a threat to public safety. Spokesperson Corporal Sarbiji K. Sangha said in a statement Thursday. The investigation highlights the strength of the interagency collaboration, and CFSEU BC extends its thanks to the Vancouver Police Department's Organized Crime Section, the VPD Strike Force, and the VDP Integrated Emergency Response Team. My personal thoughts. Outstanding work of the VPD Strike Force. Outstanding. In the Kingdom of Canada, under natural law, all criminal activities, yes, all criminal activities will be removed as decreed. Check out thekingdomofcanada.ca. BC senior loses $23,000 in bank card scam. CTV News, written by Lisa Stacy, published May 29th, 2025. An elderly woman in North Vancouver who fell victim to a bank card scam saw $23,000 in fraudulent charges racked up on her accounts earlier this month, according to authorities. The woman received a call from someone posing as an employee of a financial institution on May 15th, the North Vancouver RCMP said in a news release. The caller advised the elderly woman that fraudulent purchases had been noted on her checking account and her card chips must be checked, the statement from Mountie said. Shortly after, a male who claimed to be from her bank attended her residence to collect her bank cards. Unbeknownst to the elderly woman, she just handed her bank cards to a fraudster. The same scam has been reported in other jurisdictions in Lower Mainland Vancouver, prompting warnings from police in Abbotsford and Richmond. Thursday's warning from the North Vancouver RCMP said investigators believe the suspects may be traveling through the region and could be responsible for 8 reported cases. He continued to repeat our warnings, but we don't mind being a broken record. We need would-be targets to know how to recognize these scams, said North Vancouver RCMP spokesperson Colonel Mansour Sehag. We also need friends, families, neighbors, anyone who interacts with the elderly or those who are new to Canada to tell them about these scams, how to recognize them, and what to do if they are contacted by a scammer. My personal thoughts. These are absolutely terrible, these credit card scams. It makes you want to go back to going into the bank to retrieve your funds. Quantum financial system is a secure system, and basically nobody can break the system. Do you think that the quantum financial system will be switched on soon for public access. Sure would alleviate all this thievery and misery and stress that the elderly are going through because of these scams. Something to think about. Ontario judge approves $500 million settlement in Loblaw bread fixing case. Judge called settlement excellent, fair, and the best interest of class members. The Canadian Press, May 26, 2025. Some Canadian shoppers may soon receive cash, yes, cash, from a class action lawsuit that accused Loblaw and its parent company, George Weston, of engaging in an industry-wide scheme, yes, scheme, to fix the price of bread. Ontario's Superior Court Judge Ed Morgan approved $500 million settlement in the case on May 7th, saying the money put forward by the grocery companies was an excellent and fair result for all concerned. It is the best interest of the class as a whole, he said. In a written decision, in my view, it falls squarely within the zone of reasonableness. Now, on to the video.
Bread in Canada in the last 20 years, you might be entitled to getting some money back. A judge in Ontario approved a $500 million settlement in a long-running bread price-fixing case. Grocer Loblaw and its parent company admitted to fixing prices years ago, starting in the early 2000s. Now some shoppers who paid about $1.50 more per loaf may be entitled for up to $20. So our next guest is one of the lead lawyers who negotiated this settlement. Jay Strasberg is managing partner at Strasberg, Wingfield, Sasso LLP, and he joins us from Windsor, Ontario. Jay, what's the significance of this settlement?
Well, the significance is, to start with, it's the largest, the largest settlement of a price fixing case in Canadian history. So the sheer size of it is significant. The case is actually probably one of the largest settlements other than with the government. Not just in price fixing. So again, the size is significant, but also the scope in terms of how many people were affected. So we're talking about almost everybody in the country who was probably impacted by this conspiracy.
I'm sure it's complicated, but what's the short explanation of what exactly happened here?
Well, I have to be careful because one party is admitted responsibility, actually two, but the allegations are that over 14 years, there was a horizontal and vertical price fixing conspiracy. So that means the two companies were the industrial bakers and the rest were retailers, and they got together and agreed to raise prices in concert so that the impact was a few cents per loaf, but over time that accrues to hundreds of millions of dollars. So it's something that you wouldn't notice on a day-to-day basis, but they were able to reap the benefits.
Yeah, so, sometimes when it comes to gas prices, for example, and there are a few other products as well, I know that people kind of, skeptically, maybe even cynically say, oh, the companies all get together and they work out what the prices are going to be. It's illegal to do that, right? And when you do it, and if you get caught, I guess this case shows there can be consequences.
Absolutely. So you think about it in two ways. The first is criminal problems, which we don't deal with. We deal with private enforcement. So Canada Bread, for example, has pleaded guilty to 2 counts of price fixing, and they paid a $50 million fine. That's one side of it. Then there's the civil side, is what we do. And so we recover money on behalf of consumers, then we distribute it. But the difference between the Weston Group is that they came to the table and they're making it right, whereas Canada Bread, for example, admitted to doing it and they haven't done anything. They haven't put $1 on the table for over 20 years. So I just put that out there.
So everybody who's eligible here to get a piece of those damages, they would probably call it a refund, is those who bought bread within a fairly big time period, bought bread at the grocery store. So how do they go about getting that money, and how much money are we talking about?
CanadianBreadSettlement.ca. You got to go to the website and you have to register. That's for everybody outside of Quebec. There's another website. I'm not sure what it is for Quebec residents, but so this is the first step. The settlement was approved in Ontario for the rest of Canada. In June, the settlement will hopefully be approved by the judge in Quebec. And once that happens, you have to go to that website, canadianbreadsettlement.ca, provide your information, and it's a very complicated administration process. So your question about how much can they get, it depends how many people come forward. For example, if 1 million people come forward, they're going to get more. But if 25 million people come forward, you might get less. So it's what we call, the term of art is the take-up rate. So depending upon how many people take up the settlement, the payout will vary.
And so let me use myself as a theoretical example. If I bought bread, first of all, what time period are we talking about?
In the last 20 years. Let's just say ballpark.
Okay, which in fact I did. I did buy bread in the last 20 years.
There you go. Make sure you go to that website tonight.
I go to the website, I register. Obviously, I don't need receipts. And then at some point, I'll get notified what the take-up rate was and therefore how much I'll get. Exactly.
That's exactly right. I can't say it any better than that.
Well, how about this part, though, which I think there's probably no answer to, but is it going to be, like, do we have any idea what the range is going to be? Is it going to be $10, $25, $100?
It could be from $10 to $25 or $30. I'm not trying to be difficult, but we literally don't know because, a difference of a few million people claiming is all the difference, right? So that's the most important thing. But look, the important thing is that I want as many people to go to that website and to register because we want to distribute as much money as possible. And I just want to make one more point, which is that this is the first settlement. We are now, and part of the settlement is we have a cooperation agreement. We're going to get the goods on everybody else. So that means we're going to have what we need to go to trial, and hopefully we're going to have more money either by way of settlements or at the end of a trial to distribute.
So a small amount to each individual consumer, but they need to register, and even $10 is better than not having $10. But I guess the last point, we only have seconds left, is that the cumulative impact of this, the total amount that, for example, Loblaw has agreed to pay, feels like a pretty big burden.
It's a deterrent. That's exactly right. $500 million is a lot of money. So, it's a message to other companies. You can't engage in this kind of conduct because you're going to be next.
Congratulations on the win, Jay, the settlement. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Jay Strasberg, a managing partner at Strasberg, Wingfield, Sasso, LLP.
Great news. This is absolutely fantastic. My personal thoughts, make sure you go to the website and fill out the form. If you have bought bread the last 20 years, CanadianBreadSettlement.ca. I am Cindy Lorraine Grais of CLG View Point, and I thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for you being here with me today. If you feel compelled to, please share this forum with others. I am ending off this segment with a video that I produced, and it's a slideshow, actually, of a sunrise at Black Creek on Vancouver Island. The pictures were taken by A. DeRoche. That's my husband. See you on Divina Anima, Day 7, Year 0035. That's Tuesday, June the 3rd, 2025. Take care. Enjoy your weekend. Keep safe. And have a wonderful day. See you next time.